The teaching learning methods. Today we'll be seeing first about project method. So project method, as you know, it is a modern method of teaching, and here the student's point of view is given more importance. So usually a task is given to the student so that he can put his ideas into practice. Coming to the official definition of project method, which was given by Stevenson, a project is a problematic act carried to completion in its natural setting. The characteristics of project method. The first characteristic is spontaneity. So project method, it is spontaneous and it grows out of students' own purposes. The second one, it is aimed at definite attainable goals. So usually for achieving a task, goals are set and these are attainable goals. The third characteristic is it is purposeful. The students' whole mind is set towards the achievement of goal set, and that is why it is said to be purposeful. The next is it gives significance to interest of the students. It is problematic in nature. It is planned and directed by students. It is practical in nature, and here emphasis is given on single complete unit of purposeful activity. So these are the characteristics. It is spontaneous, there are attainable goals, it is purposeful, significance and interest, problematic in nature, planned and directed by the students, and it is practical in nature. Coming to the types, Dr. Kilpatrick, he suggested 4 types of project method. The first is producer type. So producer type projects are projects in which people are getting to do something like building a house or a garden, planning to execute a model of a textile factory, etc. And these are called producer type projects. So here basically a task is given, and finally at the end of the project the student is making up a model or bringing a new product. The next is consumer type. These projects are in which people are getting the experience and engaged in consumer type. So usually they visit an area or they go to a particular area in which they get an experience regarding the phenomenon that is happening over there. The next is problem type. So these projects are in which a solution to a problem is to be found out. So basically it is a problem solving method in which students are given a scenario and they have to bring up with solutions to that particular problem. The next is drill type. So here an activity once performed is repeated in order to acquire greater skill. For example, learning swimming or swinging, singing. So these are examples for drill type. So these are the 4 types of projects: producer type, consumer type, problem type, and drill type. According to the purposes and objectives, the projects can be again classified as projects calling for production of some physical or material products. So this is same as producer type. Learning projects where chief concern is acquisition of some ability. So this was similar to drill type. Intellectual or problem projects, and it is exactly problem type. According to the number of participants, it can be classified as group project or an individual project. Now let's learn about the stages of a project method. The first stage is providing a situation. So here the teacher has to be alert to recognize or create situations suitable for the project. So it is basically the situation in which we start finding a new project. So teachers, they should create situations that are suitable for project. Students should be encouraged to select their own project. They should be given time to express their own ideas, discuss it with teacher and the peer. The next thing is choosing and purposing. So here the student should be allowed to choose the topic from the discussed areas. The more the student feels that the subject and the choice is their own, better will be the plan as well as ability to carry out the project. So basically here the students should be given freedom in order to choose the topic of their own interest, so that they will be motivated to complete the project. The next stage is planning of the project. Here the students themselves should plan the project under the guidance of the teacher. So the master plan is prepared by the students and guidance is provided by the teacher. The next phase is executing the project. So it is the most vital phase in carrying out a project method. The teacher should provide the students with opportunity for creative expression and self-activity. The project should always lead to completion. So many a times the motivation, according to the motivation level of the students, they may drop the project at certain level. So that should be avoided. The teacher should give constant support to the students and it should be completed. The last phase is evaluating the project. So in evaluating the project, the student should be given necessary standards for evaluation of the project, and ideally it should be given before starting a project. In this phase, the students review their own work and try to find out the mistakes they made in planning and carrying out the project. So as self-analysis is done by the students so that they can improve in the upcoming projects. Next is regarding organizing a project. So here the teacher must exercise guidance in selection of the project, as we said earlier. So she should motivate the students to bring up with their own ideas, and she should encourage them to choose the most interested area. Project should be educative and according to the capacity and ability of the pupils. A teacher should always ensure that it is within the limit of the student. Good planning should be done by the pupil before, like the materials that is to be used, a picture that is to be prepared, or specific indications of what is to be done. So first hand, the student has to prepare a master plan of what is to be done in the project. During the execution of the project, the teacher should carefully supervise the pupils in manipulative skills to prevent wastage of materials and to guard against accidents. So an overall supervision by the teacher is to be done in order to avoid double work as well as in order to avoid any kind of accidents or mistakes. The relation between chalked out plans and the developing project should be constantly checked. So a teacher should always counter check what was planned or what was in the master plan and what is being carrying out. Is that going side by side or is there diversions in between? That should be counter checked. So that is about a project method. Now let's see what is workshop. So workshop, we have attended many workshop and we have organized workshop too. So workshop is a meeting during which persons with a common interest or problem meet with specialists to receive first-hand knowledge and practice. It is basically a teaching method in which a group of students or a group of professionals, they gather together and discuss regarding a particular topic in the guidance of a specialist. It focuses on working together to find solution to a common problem. Now let's see the different principles of workshop. The first principle says allowing the participant to prepare and select the objectives to be reached will increase the participants' motivation. So whenever a workshop is to be conducted, a need analysis survey that is to be done so that the participants' area of interest is being put up as the topic. Giving the participant an active role will make teaching more effective. So it shouldn't be passive, it should be active, and the participant should be actively involved in the discussion. Providing the participant with regular opportunities to see the progress he is making will increase his learning speed and improve the quality of knowledge and skills he capture. So usually the workshop, they should always give a graph, or it should show the progress of the particular pupil so that he can proceed further. Now let's see the different participants of workshop. The different participants include the audience or the participants, the coordinator or director who plans and conducts workshop, offer leadership throughout, resource persons who presents the information, staff may act as instructors, discussion leaders or resource persons. Now let's see the different phases of organizing a workshop. The first phase is planning. So in planning phase, we select the theme on which the workshop has to be organized. As we said earlier, in order to have, or in order to bring out an area where people require or they are interested, a need assessment survey is to be conducted. Finalize the theme and set objectives for the workshop. Once the theme and objectives are finalized, we consult experts in theme selected in order to serve as resource persons. In guidance with the resource persons, reframing of the objectives is done, after which a budget of the entire workshop is prepared. Then you have to confirm the date as well as venue of the workshop, and this is done according to the convenience of the resource person as well as the participants. Then print pamphlet or hard copy specifying the aims, the registration fees, activities, programs, etc. So this is basically preparing the brochure. Once the brochure has been prepared, it has to be disseminated in order to reach the target participants and seek registrations from them. Develop a basic plan on how you are going to conduct this workshop. Determine what will be presented, what will be discussed and what will be practiced. So the entire session should be planned priorly. Outline the subgroup activities to be done. So if the workshop include any hands-on sessions or any problem solving sessions, so that should be planned priorly. Consider the materials to be provided for participants like handbooks, discussion guide, practice instructions, etc. So this has to be also prepared priorly. Determine and arrange equipments needed for the workshop. Again, if it involves any kind of hands-on sessions, the adequate amount of mannequins or models should be arranged priorly. Arrange necessary accommodation, refreshment, transportation facilities for resource persons and participants. So all these facilities, basic facilities like accommodation, refreshment and transportation should be arranged. Select homogeneous participants. Confirmation from the participants is to be obtained before workshop, and reminder is to be sent to the participants and the resource persons. So the first thing is, whenever you select participants, they should be homogeneous in nature. For example, if it is a nursing or if it is a healthcare area to be discussed, you should have people from the same field like nurses or the other healthcare professionals who are involved in that particular area, so that ambiguity can be avoided. Then you have to seek confirmations from the participants even though initial registrations has been already done. Reminders should be sent to the participants just the day before or 2 days before the seminar or the workshop, and you have to also remind the resource persons regarding the workshop. Formulate different committees like food committee or the research committee, the reception committee. So such committees had to be planned and formulated priorly. Assistant organizers as well as volunteers for the smooth running of the workshop. Documentation, equipments, checklist, publicity, press has to be planned. So all these things like who is going to write a report of this, the equipments are to be handled by whom, the overall checklist of all the arrangements made, the publicity press or who is going to report this to the press, all that has to be planned priorly. Now coming to the second phase, which is conducting a workshop. So in the second phase, this happens once the webinar or the workshop is going to start. So initial registration is to be done at the registration desk as the participant arrives. Welcome the participants and provide necessary articles required. After registration, a pre-test is to be conducted in order to assess the knowledge level of the participants. Once the pre-test is conducted, a preliminary introductory session is done in which orientation towards the workshop, the theme and the objectives as well as the program specification will be done. Thereafter, each session will be conducted as planned priorly. Assignments, group presentations, etc. will be done in between. Preview of the next working day will be given. Individual consultations will be arranged if the candidates or the participants require so. An evaluation is done after each session in order to know about the quality of the workshop and further improvements to be done. The last phase of workshop is evaluation. So in evaluation, initially we take a post-test from the participants. We compare it with the pre-test in order to know the effectiveness of the workshop, and also we obtain a feedback from the participants. So the review and evaluation of the outcomes of the workshop is done, and this is usually focusing on the areas like widening specified knowledge, how far the participants were able to expand their knowledge, profession as well as personal growth. So this is regarding how to conduct a workshop. We discussed about 3 phases: the planning, conducting and evaluation phase. Now coming to computed assisted instruction. So computed assisted or computed aided instruction facilitate instant access to information with indefinite pace, accuracy, and it provides opportunity for systematically organized maximum learning for all learners. So this is just knowledge at fingertips, where we use computers in order to have access towards the most accurate knowledge, which is organized in a systematic manner. Computer can be made to assist learning in many ways, like it is a dense source of data and it is presented in an organized form, as well as it has quick access to database. So these are the 2 advantages of using computer in learning. There is dense storage of data in an organized form as well as quick access to database. The other advantages include multimedia capability, like here we can use audio visual aids or a video or a 4D vision images in order to enhance the learning ability. Logic function, which can compare learners' responses and give appropriate feedback and reinforcement, which is made available through different learning platforms. Ability to keep track of learners' performance. So here we will be evaluating the particular student continuously in order to keep a track of learners' performance. Coming to the different modes of computer assisted learning. So the first type is drill and practice mode. In this method, students learn facts and memorize them. It is useful for slow learners. For example, using an MCQ bank for drill and practice method. So here basically you have small sets of knowledge which are to be practiced and memorized by the learners, like an MCQ bank. The next mode is tutorial mode. So it is interactive learning. Here we have a well structured computer assisted learning module, and it helps in 90% retention of the content. So here basically we have a manual like of thing, or a learning program in which the students have interactive learning, and it is more helpful in retaining the content. A module lesson consists of presentation of the content in a structured way, task prescription to elicit learners' response, as well as instant feedback and reinforcement to the learners. So these are the different components of a module lesson. Here we present the content in a structured way. Task prescription or an assignment can be given in which the learners have to respond, and instant feedback is taken. The next method is laboratory mode. Here simulated situations regarding various biological processes are to be provided to the students so that they will get a laboratory like experiment. So here basically simulated situations are done in order to train students regarding a particular skill. The next mode is case simulation mode. So it helps achieving problem solving skills, which is in the highest cognitive domain. So he basically will have a case or a case scenario, and will be trying out to solve the problems of that particular case in order to achieve the particular learning activity. A variety of diagnostic, therapeutic and patient management problems can be simulated in this particular method.